This season we're going into, the season we're finishing right now is seeds. We're talking about seeds. We're talking about first fruits. We're talking about the seed faith. We're talking about a whole lot of different aspects of giving. And last week was giving to the poor and how God sees that, which is sometimes a bit different how we see that. So that's what so today's theme the theme for the month is seeds. The subject is leaving a legacy, but the title is Seeds are for Planting. But you don't go to Bunnings or wherever you go to in this town. You don't go to the shop and buy seeds and take them home and just put them in your drawer, leave them there. Because you'll go back a year later, oh, here's a little packet of seeds I bought last year. Oh yeah, that's still okay. Back in the drawer. A year later, oh, here's these seeds. Oh, the expiry date's getting a bit close. Put them back in the drawer. You see, that produced no fruit at all. That produced no crops. That produced nothing. Seeds are for planting. So you've got to take them out of the packet, put them in the ground, cultivate the ground, water the ground, do whatever the things you've got to do, put the fertilizer in, nurture them, then wait for them to germinate. And then one day, these little green shoots start to appear. Still nothing to eat. Time ticks on. The season keeps going. More rain, more nurture, more patience. Then we have plants this high, this bushy, whatever it may be. And all of a sudden, oh, there's some fruit or there's some vegetables appearing. Some of them are underground, so we don't actually see what's going on. Carrots, potatoes. But the day will come when the fruit is ready, the produce is ready, and we rip it out of the ground, we pluck it off a tree or take it off a vine, whatever we do. And now we've got the fruit of the seeds. So seeds are for planting, not for storing. And the same principle applies with finances in the kingdom. God never actually asks us to accumulate. He always asks us to give. Because if you give, I will give back. You do this, I will do this. Because he doesn't want us to be holding on to anything that slows us down in our Christian walk. He doesn't want us to be holding on to something that we are going to protect with every ounce in us. Some people protect their finances with every ounce of strength that's in them, and because they haven't put God into the situation. God's not the Lord of their finances. They are the Lord of their finances. So finances can be a blessing and a curse at the same time. It depends where it is in our heart. Because that's why the Bible warns us about the love of money. Because the love of money is the issue. It's where you cherish it or you put it on a pedestal higher than God. So then it becomes our idol and it becomes our source of everything. So seeds are important to know what to do with them and how to proceed in life with them. So, we're leaving a legacy. Proverbs says this, Proverbs 13:22. It says this, a good man, or woman, but a good man, leaves an inheritance to his children's children. But the wealth of the sinner is stored up for the righteous. But a good man, a good person. This is God's word. A good person will do this. A good person. As opposed, and later on in the verse, it talks about a sinner. But he's talking about a good person here. Leaves an inheritance to his children's children. That's for our children and our grandchildren. But I'm just on the pension. Oh, yeah, but no one left me anything. Oh. But it doesn't start with them, it starts with us. It starts with here. It starts with what we do. I never had Christian parents. So nobody taught me the principles of God and how the kingdom works. So some of you do have and have had Christian parents and grandparents, and so you understand the ways of the kingdom. And so your parents or your grandparents have passed on a legacy to you. And the legacy is in Christ and what Christ has done. and what Christ can do. And even Christ himself, it's a legacy that we pass on generation to generation. But if you don't have that in your life, then you're the starting point. But God still has the opportunity, the power, and the means to leave you an inheritance and a legacy, but also has the power and the ability to give you an inheritance and a legacy for your grandchildren. A good man will leave what? An inheritance. An inheritance is what you leave people. A legacy, because we're going to be talking about legacy, there's a slight difference. A legacy is what you leave in people. So, an inheritance is what you leave them. It's usually finances, land, documents to a company. It's usually a physical thing, and it's for wealth, prosperity, or some area like that, or even just straight out fortunes and treasure. But a legacy is what we leave in people. It's what we impart to people. It's what you teach people. It's what they walk away with from your life. And so that's what we're going to be talking about today. So I read a book by the author Mitch Albom, and it was called The 5 People You'll Meet in Heaven. A friend of ours is a librarian. She suggested, you need to read this. So I read it. It's 5 books, 5 People You'll Meet in Heaven. It's not a historical book or anything like that, but it's an interesting read. Then she said, you should read the follow-up, or another book this person's written, and it's called Tuesdays with Maury. And I thought, oh, yeah, okay, well, it's going to be like the last one. It was nothing like the last one. Maury was a university lecturer and now is dying. And he was in his home, he's on oxygen, and every Tuesday, this young man, I think it may be the author, I'm not sure, would go and see him every Tuesday. That's why it's Tuesdays with Maury. Because this lecturer spoke into his life and said, you've got potential if you just keep doing this and this and this. And so over the course of years, he went off from university, he went and did his own thing. But years later, he came back to Maury. Now Maury is dying. And he spends every Tuesday with Maury, half a day with him every Tuesday, while he is wheezing and coughing and doing whatever the stage of his illness he's going through. But because this man is still imparting into his life, and he's still building a legacy into this young man's life. He's still speaking life into him. He's still leaving something for him. And he knew it. This man's got something I need. And so it wasn't like, it's not one of those books, I must go and read that book, because it's not like that. It's not an easy read. I mean, it's not a pleasant read. It's an easy read, but it's not a pleasant read, because you can know the ending. So it's not like, I wonder what's going to happen at the end of this book. You actually know. But it's what we value is important. See, some people value silver and gold. And I remember in Acts, and you all remember this, in Acts it says that. See, silver and gold have I not, but what I give you is Jesus Christ. Get up and walk. If they could have, if they had it, given him silver and gold. And that would have lasted for a period of time, a season, and then would run out. But when you give somebody Jesus Christ, that doesn't run out. It establishes something. It changes the kingdom that rules. It changes their identity and destiny forever. That's the legacy that matters. The other one has a moment, a need is met, but it doesn't sustain us forever when Jesus Christ does. One of the things as a church and as people, that's what we should be doing. And in this country, legacy is important, because the legacy in this country is honoured very well in New Zealand and Australia with the Anzac recognition. It's not a celebration. And we are recognising the men and women who went to war at a young age, and many never came back, to give us a life which we lead today. I mean, the life that we can lead today. The life we actually lead today is a result of our own doing. But we stand on their legacy. We stand on what they did. Otherwise, we'd be speaking a different language right now, and we would not be doing this in church. We'd be living under a different regime, whether it be Japanese or German, whatever it may be, but it'd be a different world. People paid a price for future generations. That's what a legacy is about. Paying a price for future generations. Point 1. Our vision is for them. Our vision for them. A lot of people don't even have a vision for themselves. Do you have a vision for yourself? Are you operating out of the vision of your parents? Are you operating out of the vision of your church, if it has one? Are you operating out of any vision at all? Or are you living or surviving day by day, week by week? Or do you just run on a plan? A vision is important. It's extremely important. And that's not really what the subject is about today, but that will be a subject we'll bring up another day. In Psalm 127, verse 1, it says, "Unless the Lord builds the house, that they labor in vain who build it. Unless the Lord builds the house, they labor in vain who build it. Unless the Lord guards the city, the watchman stands awake in vain." Two unlesses, and the unlesses are unless the Lord. The Lord has to be in whatever we do, whatever we build in our lives. So whatever vision we're following, the Lord's got to be in it. So where we get our vision from is the Lord. Unless the Lord builds the house. The house that we operate under is the house that was established under the revelation that Peter had. You're the Christ. You're the Christ. When he's speaking to Jesus. Who do they say? Peter says, no, you're the Christ. And Jesus says, on that rock, I'm going to build my church. On that revelation, I build my church. 2,000 years later, the church is still here. That legacy remains. Because the people who got that revelation passed it on, nurtured it, wrote it down, established it, spoke it out, preached it, taught it, walked in it, prayed about it. For other generations, and I don't know how many generations later we are, and we're still walking in it. For what they did, not what we did. But it's our turn, isn't it? So what are we building? Are we building our house? Our house personally. Everyone's got a house. And so are you building that? Which is not a bad thing. This is not sin. We're not talking about sin here. But are we building a family home? Or are we building a house? Some people build houses because they need a place to live. Other people are building a house and they're also building a home. A home is you're building a family. Are you building your character? Are you allowing Jesus to renew our minds? That's building a character. Are we making decisions with his will in mind? Or are we making decisions with our desires? The moral code that we follow or we decide to do, whose blueprint is that? Is that my one or is that Jesus? Is it the one he's written in the Bible? Which moral code are we following? Moral codes aren't very strong these days. But ours should be. Are we building? What are we building? And is the Lord of our finances, or am I the Lord of my finances and ask God to bless it? Or is God the Lord of my finances and I allow him to direct it and bless it? Is the Lord of my health, my entertainment, what I watch with my eyes, what I listen to? Is the Lord of that? Is he building that in our lives? Or are we just doing our own thing? Legacy. Legacy is an important concept. Why? Because it deals with what we pass on or instill into the next generation. As God's followers, we should be passionate about our lives and what's living in us for the future generations, not just for our generation. A lot of things that we go through life and do are actually for other people. My father started a fire brigade in our town in New Zealand. When I was a kid, he was the first chief of the fire brigade. He established that fire brigade. Not for him. Not for him. He took time off work, went to fire school in Wellington, trained up to be a fireman, and then he became a station officer, and then is in charge of the station. I know what the names are. Anyway, he saw that as a legacy for the town. I can do this for the town. So some people have that inclination in that way, I'm going to do this for other people. And that's what a legacy does. You're doing it for other people. He didn't get a lot of glory out of it. He got his photo in the paper a few times and things like that. But he also had the first fire I ever went to was his son had set fire to the grass along the railway tracks. That was me. So it sort of, no pride left there. He was humbled pretty quick by me. Anyway, our life is just not us living our lives for us. But it is a relay, like the Commonwealth Games are on at the moment, and one of the things that will come up in the Glasgow Games will be the relay. We pass it on to another generation. They're passing on to the person behind them. They're passing it on. So we've got something to pass on. But are we doing it? Are we passing on a legacy to another generation? These are questions you ask. There's not questions that I answer for you. These are questions that you ask and answer yourself. Of course, when you do run in a relay, the golden rule is don't drop the baton. Don't drop it. It's entrusted to you. You've trained for this moment. Don't drop it, because you've got to pass it on to someone else until one day someone goes over the finish line. They all don't go over the finish line. The finish line is the end. It's the finish. It's the end of the race. But to get that last person across that finish line, other people had to run a race. This is what a legacy is about. We do things for people we don't even know yet, and people that aren't even our lives. Pastor Frank Houston, he was a New Zealand pastor, came to Australia, got established in Australia, in Sydney, had a vision that they wanted to start a church in the Hills District in Sydney. And so what he did was, he just didn't pick a few people, he gave the best that he had. The best that he had at that time was Brian Houston, his son. Brian Houston was on the state executive. Brian Houston became on the national executive. He was the best they had. So he sent the best he had to start a church in the Hills District in Sydney. He also sent a lot of other people. They sent elders and all sorts of people. They sent their best, which that church became Hillsongs. And Hillsongs became an international church because he invested into the future. He left a legacy in his son, which his son was supposed to send and leave into other people to carry on that work. Don't worry about what's happened since. That's behind it. The other one is, well, there's many of them. David, King David, always had it in his heart, I want to build this temple for God. I want to build a temple. I want to build the temple. I want to build the first temple. Didn't know it was going to be the first temple, but he was going to build the temple in the land. That's what I'm going to do. And God said, no, you're not going to do that. You're not worthy to do that. Your son will do that. So David still doesn't stop. He spends the rest of his life establishing all the funding, the craftsmen, finding the timber, the gold from different parts of the known world at that time. So when his son takes over as king and his son takes over as setting up building the temple, it's all ready for him to do. He's building a legacy David's building a legacy through his son of something that he will never enjoy. That's what it means. We build a church. Now this church here, who was here, out of this congregation here, who was here when they started building this church. I see 2, 3 hands, 4 hands. 4 hands. And today there's about, 50 odd people here. You know, the people who built it aren't here anymore. The pioneers aren't here anymore. They should be off pioneering somewhere else, but they're not here anymore. And so they built something for a future generation. Us, in this case. Our role is to project this into the future. And one of the ways we do that is we've got a building that over the years is going to need work, revamping, and a whole lot of different things. And we're in the process of doing some of that now. That's not for us. That's for another generation. This is for the kids in the Sunday school. This is for their generation. They will enjoy the benefits of what we do. Building fund is one of those things we use. Building fund is for exactly that. It's to establish this building for future generations. It was never to establish it for us. People often ask me, what's the building fund? Because they want to see the results of where their money is going. The money is going for the future. We're building a legacy for the future. So the next generation doesn't have to go through the mortgages that we go through. So we're setting it up for them. We pay the price for their comfort, but their platform into the community. That's building a legacy. So when people talk about the building fund, and this will be next month, we're going to talk about the building fund in one service. The building fund is for the future. It's what it's for. It's not for today. It's for the future. And so we plan for the future and we look to the future. We look for the generations coming after us. Point 2 is Abraham, a great man of, ? What was Abraham a great man of? I heard those whispers. Good. Okay. Those people were fairly confident to say it. And that's what he's known as. But in this case, we're going to talk about, he's also known for something else. He was also a man of fear. See, in Genesis 12:1, it says this. This won't come up on the screen, this part, these first 8 verses. But it says this. Genesis 12:1, it said, the Lord said, get out of the father's house, family, and country. This is God calling him. Get out of that country. Go, Abraham, or Abram, he was known then. Then he goes on to say, if you do this and when you do this, I promise I will make you a great nation and you have your own land. He goes on, I will bless you and your name will be great. At 75 years old, he obeys the Lord. Then he traveled. Verse 5, verse 6, he traveled. In verse 7, the Lord said, I will give you this land. Now he's in Canaan, I will give you this land. Carries on, he traveled again. He built an altar. More travel. But the Lord had spoken, the Lord had promised, the Lord told him what he was going to do. He obeyed the Lord, and the Lord said again, and then he built an altar to the Lord. So there was this communication that went on for a period of time, establishing this. Then we get to Genesis 12:10. This will be on the screen. Now there was a famine in the land, and Abram went down to Egypt to dwell there, for the famine was severe in the land. It's not what's in there, it's what's missing in there. God didn't direct him. That's what's missing. He didn't seek God, he didn't inquire of God, he didn't ask God, and God never sent him. You see, the people who precedes him, which is Isaac, he had a famine, he got instructions from God. Joshua, or Joseph did, Elijah, Elisha, all went through famines, and God instructed each and every one of them. But Abraham didn't ask for instructions. He went to Egypt. So when we do something outside of God's direction, we're doing it for many different reasons. One of the reasons I've worked out after a while is that he did this out of panic, pressure, and fear. Because there's a famine in the land. So every time that we make major decisions through fear, we set a cycle up in our lives. We set something up. A cycle begins. Disaster follows, by the way. Now watch how this works. We go to Genesis 12, verse 11. And it came to pass when Abram, was close to entering Egypt, that he said to Sarai, his wife, "Indeed, I know that you are a woman of a beautiful countenance." Some Bibles say beautiful to behold. She's beautiful. He knows she's beautiful. Verse 12. Therefore, it will happen. It's a fact to him. This will happen. When the Egyptians see you, they will say, "This is his wife," and they will kill me, but they will let you live. Verse 13. Please say that you are my sister, that it may be well with me. That it may be well with who? Me. Oh, this is about you, Abram. Yeah, it's about me. For your sake, that I may live because of you. He's not really interested in what happens to her, as long as he's okay. This is our man of faith. I heard that comment. Verse 14. So it was when Abram came into Egypt that the Egyptians saw the woman, that she was beautiful. So he wasn't lying, she was beautiful. She's also 65 years old. It doesn't mean she's a pack of potatoes, she's not good looking, but she is beautiful. Because the Pharaoh saw it and wanted her. So the Pharaoh's got the choice of any woman in his land, whether it's his nation or not. And she was one that he wanted. So even at 65 years old, she's extremely good looking. I see this every morning at home. Pharaoh did take her, and he was going to make her a wife. But the Lord plagued the land and Pharaoh. God stepped in at that moment. And it made it extremely plagued. I don't really know what that means. I mean, there's plagues in the land. Was there swarms of mosquitoes? Did it break out in hives? I don't know what. But anyway, God was making sure nothing ever comes of this. It's not going anywhere. But Abraham was allowing this to go this far. His fear was about himself and not her. He didn't really care. He was more important about what he was going through, that he might get killed, rather than what she has to live for the rest of her life. 24 years tick on. 24 years. And in Genesis 20, verse 1, they go to another place, and King Amalek. This is in the Philistine area. So in Genesis 22 and 20, verse 2, now Abraham said of Sarah, his wife, her name's changed now, "She is my sister," and Amalek, the king of Judah, sent and took Sarah. So they go to another place, and in this place, the king sees her, but he's already said, "No, this is my sister." So he felt, okay, she's fair game. So he takes her. 24 years. He's got the same problem. The same fear reappears. There is a cycle here. If you read the account, I will read the account. It's in Genesis 20, verse 3. This is after he had taken her. But God came to Amalek in a dream by night and said to him, "Indeed, you are a dead man because of the woman who you've taken, for she is a man's wife." But Amalek had not come near her, and he said, "Lord, will you slay a righteous nation also? Did he not say to me, 'She is my sister'? And she even herself said, 'He is my brother.' In the integrity of my heart and the innocence of my hands, I have done this." And God said to him in a dream, "Yes, I know that you did this in the integrity of your heart. For I also withheld from you from sinning against me. Therefore, I did not let you touch her. Now, therefore, restore the man's wife, for he is a prophet. And he will pray for you, and you shall live. But if you do not restore her, know that you shall surely die, you and all that is yours." So Amalek rose in the morning, called all his servants, and told these things in their hearing. And the men were very afraid. And Amalek called Abraham and said to him, "What have you done to us? How have I offended you, that you have brought this on to me and my kingdom a great sin? You have done great deeds to me that ought not to have been done." Then Amalek said to Abraham, "What did you have in view? What you have done is that you have done this thing." And Abraham said, because I thought, surely the fear of God is not in this place, and they will kill me for the account of my wife." He was still stuck in the same place 24 years later. Sad, eh? But look what happens. So by this time, we tick on a few more years. Now, Abraham has a son by now. Abraham has a son, it's Isaac, and Isaac's married to Rebekah. So it's a fair chunk of time has gone past. So now we're in Genesis 26:1. And it said there was a famine in the land. Hello, a famine. There's familiar words again. There's a famine in the land besides the first famine that were in the days of Abraham. So according to this, there's only been 2 famines. Anyway, that's beside the point. Isaac hears from God, and God says to him, "Don't go to Egypt, but go to the king Amalek. Go to the same king your father went to in the Philistine area. In Genesis 26:7, it says this, "And the men of that place asked about his wife, and he said, 'She is my sister.' For he was afraid to say, 'She was my wife.'" This is the legacy that Abram had passed on to his son. Same problem, same answer, same fear. Because he thought, at least the man in this place will kill me for Rebekah because she is beautiful to behold. 2 things. One was a blessing. They both had beautiful wives. The other thing was, the negative side is, they both had fear in the same place, and they both had a negative response, and they both put their wives at danger to protect themselves. It's a negative legacy they were leaving. Happens a lot in families. We just don't see it. When it's our family, we don't see it. But when people look into our family, they see it. Why is that family always like this? Why does that family always do that? Why does those things always happen to that family? Because we're in the fishbowl, we can't see our tail in the fishbowl. But outside the fishbowl, you can see everything. So people look into our lives, they can see what's going on. And God can see what's going on if we'd only talk to him about it. But point 3 is this. Man of faith. This is what your answer was. What is Abraham known as? He's known as a man of faith. And that's true, and that's what he's known as. In Hebrews, it talks about him. He was a man of faith because he obeyed when he was called out of his family and his home. So that's going right back. So when he was called out of his nation, his country, his family, his home, he obeyed. And he did not know where he was going. By faith he dwelt in the land of promise. He waited for the city which has foundations, which the builder and the maker is God. He never saw it. He waited for it. He never saw it. He believed his son would not die on the mountain. By faith he believed that he would have a son at 100 years old. Even then, there was a moment of doubt and fear, and he had sex with the servant girl. And he had Ishmael. No, God said, "No, that's not my plan. Stay on my plan. I don't want this legacy you've just set up is now you've just introduced another nation into the world." His son and his grandson, Jacob, believed the same promise because he was be able to pass this on to one generation after generation. He was leaving a legacy. We are going to be a special people. We are going to have this land. We are going to rule in this land. We are going to be blessed of the Lord God. We are going to be favored by the Lord God. God is with us. Jacob believed it. Isaac believed it. Jacob believed it. It was passed on. They received a legacy that was passed on, each one like in a race. Out of Jacob came the 12 tribes of Israel. A nation was starting to be born. But they could have lost to this through their fear. None of those three ever saw the result of the promise. The result of the promise did not happen for another 500 to 600 years. Moses. But they held on to it, and they passed it on. And their kids passed it on, and their kids passed it on. And then it got to Moses, they all believed it. We're going to have a promised land. We've got somewhere to go. We are going to be a blessed people. The world's going to know who we are. The world's going to be blessed because of us. While they were slaves. The circumstances say one thing, God's promise says another. Which do we follow? So what the legacy we leave to the next generation is not our fear, our circumstances and our doubts, but what has God said to this family, or what has God said to this church, or what has God said to you? That's what we pass on. Because that leaves a legacy. Because it's God's legacy, it's God's plan and purpose. You know what prophecy is? God's will and purpose. And we follow God's will and purpose in anything, it will come to pass. But if we do it our own way, then we'll have an Ishmael. We do it our own way, we're going to be confronted by a king that wants to kill us, so we have to lie. So then we commit another sin, and then we put our wife in danger because we're too cowardly to stand up for what we believe. So this is a different picture of Abraham and his family. But you're right. Romans 4:16 says this. He's the father of faith. The legacy that he leaves us, each one of us, is faith. He's known as the father of faith. Why? Well, he's not the only person in the Bible who exercised faith, and he wasn't the first person to exercise faith, but he was a man of faith. To a point, he would leave everything to follow God. He was willing to kill his own son that God had promised him, that through this son a nation was going to be birthed. Through that son, he was willing to kill that son as a sacrifice because he believed God was still going to honor the promise. Didn't know how it was going to happen. He still knew it was going to happen. He's a man of faith. He has a child while he's 100 years old and his wife is whatever she was. Old people. Old people. Not able, the Bible says his body was as good as dead. But believed God. Eventually believed God. Bang. Oh, we've got a son. She's got to carry the son for 9 months. She's got to nurture the son. And she's 99 years old. They believed God in the end. And this is the faith that is celebrated. And that faith that we read and apply to our lives and ask God for is from him. He exercised it first, we follow. That's why he's called our Father of faith. Each one of us, God's asking us to pass good things on because we're good people to our children and grandchildren. A legacy. A strong faith in God, a belief in God, an attachment to God, God's will and purpose for our family's life. I know my family's motto. We're an English family. Not that I've ever been there or seen any of them. But anyway, we're an English family. And our motto for our family is, I won't say it in Latin, in English it means us and ours to God. Linda's one is praises to God. My mother's one is, because she's an oak, I can't quite remember what her one was now. But they're all to do with God. And so that's the legacy that's passed on. My grandson and my sons, I've given them a plaque that says who we are. And our coat of arms is on the wall. Because that's who we are. That's the legacy that's been passed on to us. So that's one aspect. But the major legacy in our life is what Christ has done and doing in our lives. Are we passing that on to our children and our grandchildren? We have an advantage in our household because we have one grandchild living with us. We used to have two. Joy of joys at our age, I'll tell you now. For joy jumping it was. But we want to pass something on. Now this is the question. Do you want to pass something on? Do you want to leave a legacy that's bigger than you? Do you want the faith needed to leave a legacy? We can choose to be the spectators in this race, or we can choose to be the runners in this race. Spectators, it's about them. All the sporting people in the home in this church right now, you're probably watching the games. You just watched the World Cup soccer. But you're watching it from home, behind your TVs. Watched the big games of Storm the other night. But we're watching it from home. We're spectators. We're not ones carrying the baton or the ball. So we can pass that on to our kids. We can be spectators, or we can be participants. We could be running the race, and God tells us to run our race. Each one of us has got a race to run, given by God. Some people don't know what theirs is. Some people have their parents have never told them what their family one is. Some of them just want to know. I want to know what it is. Some are too scared. I don't want to be like my family. I don't want to do what they do. I don't want to go through what they went through. I want to be counted worthy. It's a cry of some. I want to be counted worthy. On the day of Judgment Day, I want to be able to say, or God say, well done, good and faithful servant. I want to be that. I don't want to be there going, well, I saw Pastor Chris do this, and I saw Claire do that, and I heard this person say that. That's not what that day is about. It's about what we do, what you do, or didn't do. I want to be known as someone who passes on a legacy. Look at my children, look at my grandchildren, carrying the baton. As we're getting older, I'm a lot older than Linda. You can ask Linda that. She doesn't want to grow old just yet. And my kids are slowly taking over responsibilities in our family. We didn't ask them to. And it peeves me sometimes. It's not your decision. Who are you to decide that for us? But that's what happens. Your family takes over because you've equipped them to do so. I never ever want to be under the rule of my family, my kids. It's a scary thought. But I'll tell you what, my daughter does what I do better than me. And my son, one of my sons, two or both of them, I used to be a drummer. Michael's a lot better drummer than I'll ever be. He is a drummer. I used to play drums. And Samuel, my youngest one, makes money, works hard. He's ambitious, not in a wrong way. He's adventurous. And he has skills, far better than me. That's the legacy they've got. What are they passing on? I watch what they're doing to their kids. Well, in Michael's case, what are you passing on? This is an unfinished story. I want to be known as someone who has passed on a legacy. One of the things about this, though, is a legacy or an inheritance that's passed on to us is great. It's what gets us established in the world. But what about the people who have never got their inheritance? Leave legacy over here. Never got their inheritance. Are you one of these people that you never got an inheritance from your family line? Are you one of these people that there was an inheritance in the family, but you never got part of it? One of my grandmothers died, and my cousins got inheritance, and us three kids never got anything. My father came to me and said that, "Are you okay about that?" I said, I never expected anything anyway. So it didn't affect me like that. But when I talked to my mum about it many years later, she said, "Did you know that your grandfather was the second born in his family, and that the firstborn in the family got the farm?" And I'm talking about a farm, not a couple of acres here. Got the family farm, the house, the homestead, got everything. The second son, which is your grandfather, got the furniture. So I used to wonder, why did my grandmother in this little cottage have all this flash furniture, old-fashioned furniture? Because that was the inheritance to him, but the first son got everything, the second son hardly got anything. Inheritance lost. And God over the years has spoken to me about that. He says, I will restore that. I will restore what the locusts have eaten. I will restore the injustices in your family. Whether I get it or my kids get it as a legacy, God's going to restore it. And I believe this is a common thing that people in families have missed out of their inheritance.